word Rasta. We picture the guys with the long dreadlocks, who smoke pot all day, and listen to reggae music. Well, I'm going to explain the origination and expansion, as well as the fundamental beliefs and practices of the Rastafari religion. There are many misunderstandings and misconceptions of what Rastafari is and teaches. Your average American knows little next to nothing of this unique belief system. So here's a chance for me to explain to you the fundamental beliefs and practices, and for you to learn something new. Rastafarianism is an offshoot of Protestant Christianity that emerged from the slums of Jamaica in the early 1920s and 30s, from a certain interpretation from the Book of Revelations in the Bible. Today we will be discussing first the origination and expansion of Rastafari, and secondly, the common beliefs and practices. Rastafari originated in the poverty-stricken streets of Kingston, Jamaica in the 1920s and 30s due to the hardships, racism, and poverty that the people of the time were facing. The people needed something to give them hope, a sense of belonging that would give them something to live for. Rastafarianism delivered this when it came from the streets. It was created by the people for the people. The man commonly credited as being the founder of Rastafarianism is native Jamaican Marcus Garvey. His vision of the United States of Africa, which would unite all peoples of African ancestry and unite them back into the motherland of Africa, gave hope to the people, and they inspired many of the early founders of Rastafarianism. Ironically, Garvey himself never identified with the Rastafarian movement. He was a born Methodist who later became a Roman Catholic. It was just his idea and vision of uniting all peoples of African ancestry which led rise and gave a kickstart to the Rastafarian movement. Thus, Rastafarianism is also considered an offshoot of Garveyism philosophy. The second person credited with the founding, and quite possibly the chief cornerstone of Rastafarianism, is former Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie. Selassie is considered by Rastafarians to be God incarnate, the reincarnated Jesus Christ on earth, whom they call Jah, and they worship as Jah, which means God in their language. His crowning as Ethiopian king in 1930 is taken by the Rastafarians to be a fulfillment of a biblical prophecy. They look to Selassie to be the man to exodus all the black peoples out of the white man's world back into Africa and Ethiopia, the promised land. Selassie himself, like Garvey, never identified with the Rastafarian movement. He denied any divinity, and in a 1967 interview aboard the Royal Canadian train, Selassie urged Rastafarians to stop worshiping him as God, and urged them to never mix man with God. Rastafarians, of course, ignored this and continue to this day to worship him as Jah. The man responsible for expanding Rastafarianism outside of Jamaica, and most likely the most popular image across the movement, is, of course, Bob Marley. He converted to Rastafarianism in 1966 and adopted the culture. Unlike the Rastafarians that came before him, he was able to spread the message of Rasta outside of Jamaica through his reggae music. Many of his songs were centered on Rasta beliefs and practices. And when we think of Rasta to this day, usually Bob Marley comes to mind. He's the poster child for Rastafarianism, I guess you could say. He's responsible for the spread of it outside of Jamaica. But shortly before his death in 1981, Bob Marley converted to the Ethiopian Christian Orthodox Church, a faith that denies Emperor Selassie. Like the origination and beliefs of the religion, the Rastafarian practices and beliefs are strongly influenced by the Jamaican culture. Rastafarians have a strong emphasis on Judeo-Christianity. That's Christianity with Jewish influence. They look to the Hebrew scriptures for a lot of their influence, and a lot of reggae Rasta songs have Old Testament psalms and proverbs in them. They observe a lot of the dietary laws of the Old Testament, and they believe in one Christian God, Jesus Christ, who was reincarnated into Emperor Haile Selassie, Jah. They don't have any distinct belief in an afterlife as regular Christians do. They look more to a heaven on earth, Zion, which would be Africa or Ethiopia, which is harmonious and peaceful in their eyes, and Babylon, which would be the corrupt white man's world, which they are directly opposed to. The long dreadlocks we're familiar with are a symbol of naturalness. They represent a lion's mane, and they support that with their own interpretations of Scripture. The most popular practice is the smoking of marijuana, which they call ganja. They believe it's a sacrament that cleanses the soul and allows one to become closer with God. They believe it expands your mind, and they support that with Scripture as well. Many ganja smoking sessions are followed by Bible studies. Rastafarians in general avoid alcohol as they believe it makes you stupider, and that ganja expands your mind and makes you smarter. The colors of the Rastafarian flag are red, yellow, green, and sometimes black, which all stand for something different. Red stands for the African blood that was shed. Yellow stands for the gold that was stolen from them. Green stands for the fertile lands of Africa and Ethiopia awaiting them after their exodus out of the land. And black stands for the color of the African skin. So we've gone through the origination of the religion forming the slums of Jamaica through the philosophies of Marcus Garvey, which kick-started it. We discussed how Bob Marley took it from the streets of Jamaica to the speakers of millions across the globe, and how the unique fundamental beliefs and practices that they practice, smoking of marijuana, the long dreadlocks, the unique view of heaven on earth, Zion, and the belief of one Christian God, Jesus Christ, who was reincarnated into Emperor Haile Selassie. Rastafarianism is an often misunderstood movement that outside of reggae music, not much is known. Apart from the stereotypical view of people who smoke all day, there is a lot more to Rasta than meets the eye. As stated in 1986 by Lawrence Brenner, the author of English Bible in